You are standing in a room. The air is still. The lighting is harsh. And you are talking. You are talking and talking and talking. You can feel the dryness in your throat, but you can't stop. You can hear the frantic rhythm of your own voice, the way the pitch creeps higher at the end of every sentence, turning statements into questions. You are pleading. You don't think you're pleading, you think you're communicating. But look at the dynamic. Look at the physics of the room. They are standing still, anchored, heavy. Their breathing is slow. They haven't blinked in 10 seconds. And you? You are vibrating. You are leaning forward, physically invading your own space, using your hands to chop the air, trying desperately to build a bridge of words that reaches them. But the bridge is collapsing. You just said no. That was the start of it. They asked you for something, a favor, a commitment, a piece of yourself, and you wanted to decline. That should have been the end. No. It's a complete sentence. It's a monolith. But you couldn't let it stand. The moment that syllable left your mouth, panic set in. You felt the vacuum of silence opening up, that terrifying gap where their judgment lives. So you rushed to fill it. You started with because. That innocent, deadly little word. Because I have this other thing. Because I've been really tired lately. Because my schedule is just crazy right now. Stop. Look at their face. Do you see it? It's micro, but it's there. A slight relaxing of the jaw. A tiny, almost imperceptible tilt of the head. That is an empathy. That is an understanding. That is the look of a predator realizing the prey is injured. They see you bleeding out. They see you offering up your autonomy on a silver platter, asking them to validate your right to say no. You aren't setting a boundary anymore. You are submitting an application for their approval. You are asking, is this excuse good enough for you to not be mad at me? And the moment you ask that question, even silently, you have lost. You have handed them the keys to your reality. This is the uncomfortable truth about why you feel drained after every difficult conversation. It's not the conflict that drains you. It's the performance. You perform weakness. You perform guilt. You act out the role of the subservient child explaining to the disappointed parent why they broke the vase. And here is the cruelest part. You think you are being nice. You tell yourself, I just want them to understand where I'm coming from. You tell yourself you are being polite, considerate, transparent. You are lying to yourself. You are not being polite. You are being terrified. You are explaining yourself because you do not believe you exist without their permission. Think about the last time you sent a text message that was too long. You know the one. You wanted to cancel plans or address a small issue. You typed it out. Then you looked at it. It felt too harsh. So you added a softener. I just feel like. I hope you understand. It's not you, it's just. You added an emoji to soften the blow. You turned a simple information transfer into a 3-paragraph essay on your own emotional state. You hit send. And then, the wait. The agony of the bubbles. You stared at the screen, heart hammering against your ribs, terrified of how they would interpret your dissertation. And what did you get back? K. Or no worries. Or maybe no response at all for 6 hours. That specific pain in your chest when you see that K. That is the feeling of your power evaporating. You spent 100 units of energy. They spent 1. You gave them a map of your insecurities. They gave you a monosyllable. The imbalance is nauseating. It makes you want to crawl out of your skin. And what do you do next? Do you pull back? No. You double down. You send another text. Just wanted to make sure we're cool. Now you are groveling. Now you are digging a hole so deep you might never climb out of it. You have taken a situation where you had the leverage. It was your decision, your time, your boundary, and you have voluntarily converted it into a debt you feel you owe them. This dynamic is not an accident. It is a biological signal. In the animal kingdom, the alpha does not explain why they are eating first. The lion does not draft a memo to the gazelle justifying the hunt. Explanation is a submissive gesture. It is what the lower status individual does to avoid punishment from the higher status individual. When you over-explain, you are literally signaling to the other person's primal brain, I am lower than you. I answer to you. Please do not hurt me. And people, even nice people, will instinctively treat you like a subordinate when you act like one. They will interrupt you. They will dismiss your reasons. They will start negotiating with your excuses because you gave them the data points to argue with. If you say, I can't come because I have to work, you have just invited them to say, but you can work later. You handed them the ammunition to shoot down your boundary. You turned a fortress into a debate club. The tragedy is that you are likely brilliant. You are likely capable, but you are walking through life with a kick me sign taped to your back that is written in your own handwriting. You are broadcasting your insecurity at a frequency that everyone can hear. You are terrified of silence because in the silence, you have to sit with yourself. You have to sit with the fact that you decided something, and that decision has to be enough. But it doesn't feel like enough, does it? It feels naked. It feels exposed. So you cover it with noise. You cover it with words. You vomit information until the air in the room is thick with your desperation. And the person across from you, the boss, the date, the friend, they just watch. They wait. They know that if they stay quiet just a little bit longer, you will offer them something else. You will compromise. You will retract. You will betray yourself just to make the awkwardness stop. You are being played, but you aren't being played by them. You are being played by your own inability to close your mouth. You are being played by your addiction to being understood. And until you understand that your desire to explain is actually a desire to submit, nothing will change. You will continue to talk until you are empty, and they will continue to watch you fade away. You are in the shower. The water is hot. Steam is filling the room, but you aren't feeling it. You aren't even there. You are 3 hours in the past or 2 days in the future. You are having an argument with a ghost. You are rehearsing. You are muttering lines under your breath, perfecting the phrasing, sharpening the logic. If they say X, I'll say Y. And then if they bring up Z, I'll show them the text message from last Tuesday. You are building a case. You are drafting opening statements, cross-examinations, and closing arguments for a trial that nobody else is attending. This is the courtroom in your head, and you are always the defendant. Have you ever noticed that? In these mental simulations, you are never the judge. You are never the jury. You are always the one in the dock, sweating under the lights, trying to prove your innocence. You move through the world assuming that your default state is guilty. You assume that your choices are invalid until you have provided sufficient evidence to the contrary. You assume that other people, your partner, your boss, your parents, even the stranger at the grocery store, have the inherent right to audit you. It happens in the micro moments. A friend asks, "Why aren't you drinking tonight?" A confident person says, "Not feeling it." End of scene. But you? You feel the spikes of adrenaline. The courtroom lights flick on. Objection. The witness is acting suspicious. You feel the need to produce exhibits A through F. Well, I have an early morning tomorrow, and my stomach has been kind of weird lately. Plus, I'm trying to save money for this trip. You are piling up evidence. You are frantically trying to reach the reasonable doubt threshold where they will let you off the hook. But here is the twist. They weren't judging you. They were just making conversation. They asked a throwaway question while checking their phone. But because your internal reality is a perpetual trial, you treated their casual curiosity as a prosecutorial attack. You escalated a non-event into a defense of your character. This is the mechanism of J.A.D.E. You justify. You argue. You defend. You explain. It is a reflex arc that bypasses your conscious brain. Someone raises an eyebrow. You justify. It's not usually this messy. I just had a crazy week. Someone asks a clarifying question. You argue. No, I didn't mean it like that. What I meant was. Someone offers a critique. You defend. But you do the same thing. Someone goes silent. You explain. You fill the silence with the resume of your good intentions. It is exhausting. My God, it is so exhausting being you. Think about the mental RAM you are burning. You are running a high-intensity simulation software 24/7. You are analyzing the tone of every email for signs of an indictment. You are reading into the punctuation of text messages. They used a period instead of an exclamation mark. The jury is turning against me. You are living in a state of chronic hypervigilance, constantly scanning the horizon for the next person who might demand an accounting of your actions. And this is where the dark psychology kicks in. Manipulators love the courtroom in your head. They can smell it on you. They know that they don't actually have to accuse you of anything. They just have to look skeptical. They just have to pause a beat too long. Your internal programming will do the rest. They provide the silence. You provide the guilt. You're in a relationship with someone who knows this dynamic. They come home. They look at the dishes in the sink. They don't say a word. They just look. A secure person thinks, I'll get to those later. You think. The trial has begun. You start talking before they even take off their coat. I was going to do them, but the call ran late, and then I had to feed the dog, and I promise I'll do them right after dinner. You are bargaining for a plea deal for a crime that hasn't been charged. You are teaching them that you are answerable to them. You are establishing a hierarchy where they are the authority and you are the subject. Every time you defend yourself against a phantom accusation, you reinforce the reality that they have the right to judge you. You are handing them the gavel. You are saying, here, please decide if I am good or bad today. Why do you do this? Because somewhere, a long time ago, you learned that love is conditional. You learned that you are only safe when you are correct. You learned that if you can just explain your side perfectly enough, if you can just find the exact right combination of words, the anger will stop. The judgment will stop. You will be acquitted. But life isn't a court of law. There is no judge who is going to bang a gavel and say, the defendant is found innocent. You may go free. There is no acquittal coming. There is only the endless, grinding process of you trying to manage everyone else's perception of you. You are trapped in a prison of your own making. The walls are made of your explanations. The bars are made of your excuses. And the saddest part? The door is unlocked. You can walk out of the courtroom anytime you want. You can simply stop. You can choose to be misunderstood. You can choose to let them think what they want. You can choose to let the verdict remain guilty in their head while you go eat dinner in peace. But you don't. You stay at the defense table, shuffling your papers, clearing your throat, preparing for the next cross-examination, terrified that if you stop talking, the jury will realize you're a fraud. Let's strip away the politeness. Let's look at the raw mechanics of power. You operate under a delusion. It's a very specific, very dangerous delusion that you were taught in kindergarten. You believe that if you just explain your side clearly enough, if you provide enough context, the other person will see you. They will empathize. They will validate you. You believe that communication is the universal solvent that melts away conflict. Wrong. In the realm of power dynamics, communication is often just a fancy word for submission. When you over-explain, you are not building a bridge. You are flashing a signal. It is a bright, neon sign that flashes above your head, visible to everyone in the room except you. And that sign says, I am lower status than you. Think about the architecture of a command. The general gives an order. Do they explain why? Do they give the backstory? Do they apologize for the inconvenience? No. The order is the order. The CEO sends an email. We are pivoting to strategy B. They don't write 3 paragraphs about how they lost sleep over the decision and how they really hope everyone is okay with it. They state the reality, and the reality happens. Now look at you. You are late to a meeting. It happens. The high-status move. Apologies got held up. Let's get started. Your move. I am so sorry. Traffic was absolute nightmare on the 405. And then I realized I forgot my laptop charger, so I had to turn around. And I know I should have left earlier. Stop. Look at what you just did. You took a simple error, being late, and you turned it into a character flaw. You offered them a menu of your incompetence. You told them, 1. You can't manage your time. 2. You are forgetful. 3. You are easily flustered. You think you are offering excuses to mitigate their anger. What you are actually doing is handing them leverage. You are showing them your soft underbelly. You are rolling over like a puppy, exposing your throat, hoping they will pet you instead of bite you. And here is the darkest part. This signal is repulsive. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean it biologically. Humans are wired to seek competent allies. When you explain, you signal incompetence. You signal that you are overwhelmed by your own life. You signal that you are a victim of circumstance rather than a master of it. And when people see that signal, they instinctively recoil. They lose respect for you. They might not even know why. They just feel a sudden drop in your stock price. Predatory personalities, the narcissists, the Machiavellians, the workplace bullies, they feed on this signal. It is blood in the water. When you explain why you can't do something, I can't work this weekend because it's my daughter's birthday, you think you are giving a good reason. They hear, the daughter is the pressure point. Next time they need to manipulate you, they won't attack you directly. They will attack the thing you explained. They will say, I guess you're just not committed to the team, knowing that guilt about your work-life balance is your trigger because you told them it was. You are handing them the blueprints to your own destruction. Every time you explain your boundaries, you are telling them exactly how to dismantle them. I don't like it when you yell at me because I grew up in a yelling household. You think vulnerability. They think weakness. Now they know that raising their voice is a tactical nuke that will shut you down instantly. You just gave them the launch codes. This is the submission signal. It is the reflex of the servant explaining the broken plate to the master. And as long as you keep sending it, you will never be the master. You will never be the one in control. You want to know the difference between a leader and a follower? A follower asks for permission. An explainer is asking for permission retroactively. You are asking for permission to have made the choice you already made. I bought the blue car. Is that okay? Here are 6 reasons why I bought the blue car. The leader just buys the blue car. The silence you are so afraid of? That is where the power lives. The moment you stop explaining is the moment the dynamic flips. Imagine you state a boundary. I'm not doing that. And then, silence. You don't add because. You don't add sorry. You just look at them. Watch their face. Watch the confusion. They are waiting for the submission signal. They are waiting for you to roll over. And when you don't, when you just stand there, comfortable in your own reality, they panic. Their brain scrambles to fill the gap. They start explaining themselves to you. Well, I just meant that it would be helpful if. I didn't mean to pressure you. See, the energy shifted. The polarity reversed. You reclaimed the throne simply by refusing to speak. But you can't do that if you are addicted to the idea that you need to be understood. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to be the villain in their story for 5 minutes, so you can be the hero of yours for the rest of your life. As long as you are explaining, you are kneeling. Stand up. There is a book that sits on the shelf of every CEO, every politician, and every shark you have ever met. It is Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. And if you open it to Law 4, you will find the sentence that diagnoses your entire life. Always say less than necessary. This isn't just advice. It is a law of physics in the social realm. The more you say, the more common you appear, and the less control you have. Think about the Spartans, ancient history's ultimate masters of the silence game. There is a story about Philip of Macedon, Alexander the Great's father. He was conquering Greek city-states one by one. He sent a terrifying, page-long message to the Spartans, threatening them. He wrote, "If I enter Laconia, I will raze Sparta to the ground. If I break down your gates, I will kill your men. If I defeat your army, I will enslave your women." He listed every terrible thing he would do. He explained his power. He detailed his plans. He was doing exactly what you do. He was over-communicating to try and control the narrative. The Spartans sent back a single word. If. That is power. Philip never attacked Sparta. Why does this work? Why does one word hold more weight than 1,000? Because of the economic law of scarcity. It applies to gold, it applies to diamonds, and it applies to words. When you talk constantly, your words are inflation-prone currency. They are cheap. You are flooding the market with your thoughts, so nobody values them. You are a coin fountain that won't turn off. But when you are silent, your words become rare. And rare things are expensive. When the person who never speaks finally leans forward and opens their mouth, the entire room stops. Necks crane. Ears perk up. Because the market knows, if they are spending a word, it must be worth something. You violate this law every single day. You treat silence as a defect. You treat a pause in conversation as a failure that you must personally fix. You are like a nervous host at a party, frantically filling every quiet moment with chatter because you are terrified the guests are bored. But the masters of power, the negotiators, the seducers, the leaders, they love the silence. They know that silence is a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. Here is the mechanism. When you stay silent, you create a void. The other person is biologically wired to fill that void. They will start talking, and because they are rushing to fill the silence, they will say things they didn't mean to say. They will reveal their hand. They will spill their secrets. They will offer a better deal. You are in a salary negotiation. The boss names a number. It's too low. You move. Oh, okay. Well, I was hoping for a bit more because, inflation, and I've been working really hard, but I understand if the budget is tight. You just negotiated against yourself. You just told them you will accept the low number. The law for move. You hear the number. You say nothing. You just look at them. You count to 5 in your head. The silence stretches. It becomes heavy. The boss gets uncomfortable. They start wondering, are they insulted? Are they going to quit? Do they have another offer? The vacuum pulls the truth out of them. I mean, that's the base. They stutter. We can probably look at a signing bonus or revisit in 6 months. You made money by keeping your mouth shut. This is the Rorschach test of power. When you explain yourself, you become a defined object. You are a square. You are a circle. You are the guy who is late because of traffic. You are concrete, and concrete things can be attacked. Concrete things can be analyzed and dismantled. But when you are silent, you are a cloud. You are a shadow. You are undefined. And because you are undefined, people project their own fears and fantasies onto you. If you don't tell them why you did something, they will invent a reason. And usually, the reason they invent makes you look more powerful than you actually are. They will assume you have a strategy. They will assume you know something they don't. It is better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. Mark Twain said that. But let's go darker. It is better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a threat than to open it and prove you are a victim. You cannot unsay a stupid thing. Once the words are out, they are independent of you. They are evidence. They are weapons that can be picked up and used against you. But the words you swallow, they remain your prisoners. You own them. You have spent your life trying to win people over with your eloquence, your logic, your perfectly constructed arguments. And you have failed, because you cannot argue someone into respecting you. You cannot explain someone into valuing you. Respect is not a logical conclusion. It is an emotional reaction to perceived power. And nothing, absolutely nothing, feels more powerful than a person who is comfortable in the silence that destroys everyone else. Let's go deeper. Let's cut past the social dynamics and look at the wiring under the dashboard. Why does the silence physically hurt you? Why does a pause in conversation make your skin itch? You tell yourself you just hate awkwardness. You tell yourself you're a social lubricant, the person who keeps the vibes good. That is a lie. You don't hate awkwardness. You hate the vacuum. The vacuum is what happens when the noise stops. When the other person stops feeding you feedback. When the constant stream of ahas and nods and smiles cuts off. In that sudden quiet, something terrifying happens. You are left alone with your own reality. And deep down, in the parts of yourself you don't talk about at parties, you do not trust your own reality. This is the shadow truth. You explain yourself because you are trying to outsource your sanity. You don't know if your feelings are valid until someone else signs off on them. You don't know if your anger is righteous until a jury of your peers votes yes. You are walking through life like a ghost who needs a living person to look at them just to prove they exist. Think about it. You get into a conflict. You say, "I'm hurt." The other person stares. They don't react. If you were solid, if you were grounded in your own truth, you would think, "I am hurt." That is a fact. Their reaction is irrelevant to the fact of my pain. But you aren't solid. You are liquid. You immediately think, "Wait, am I hurt? Am I being dramatic? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the problem." So you start talking. You start pouring words into the vacuum. You are trying to rebuild your reality in real time. I mean, I'm not trying to be sensitive. It's just that when you said that, it reminded me of, you are begging them to nod. You are begging them to say, "I get it." Because if they say, "I get it," then you are allowed to feel it. If they reject your explanation, you feel like your entire emotional experience has been deleted. You are using the other person as an external emotional regulator. You can't self-soothe, so you try to talk them into soothing you. You try to explain them into a state of agreement so that you can finally calm down. This is why you are so vulnerable to this silent treatment. When a manipulator goes cold, they aren't just being mean. They are severing your connection to your external hard drive. They are taking away the mirror you use to see yourself. And without that mirror, you panic. You start flailing. You text. You call. You show up at their house. You apologize for things you didn't do, just to get the connection back online, just to get the vacuum to stop sucking the air out of your lungs. You are an addict. The drug is validation. The silence is withdrawal. And the people who use you, they know this. They might not know the psychology terms, but they know the mechanic. They know that if they just withhold approval for 5 seconds, you will dance. You will lower your price. You will abandon your boundaries. You will betray your own values just to hear the reassuring sound of their voice telling you that you're a good person. Look at the physical sensation next time it happens. You say something risky. The room goes quiet. Your heart rate spikes. Your throat tightens. Your brain screams, "Fix it. Fix it. Danger." That isn't a social instinct. That is a trauma response. That is the feeling of a child who realizes the parent is angry and safety has been revoked. You are flashing back to a time when silence meant danger, when silence meant you were about to be punished. So you learn to filibuster. You learn that if you keep talking, if you keep entertaining, if you keep explaining, you can keep the punishment at bay. You learn to use words as a shield. But you are an adult. Now, the danger is gone. The only thing hurting you is your own inability to sit still. You have to understand, your explanations are not convincing anyone. They are actually doing the opposite. When you frantically explain, you look like a guilty person trying to cover a crime. Even if you are innocent, even if you are right. The energy of explanation is the energy of guilt. You are digging a hole in the bottom of the boat to let the water out. The vacuum is not your enemy. The vacuum is the truth. The silence shows you exactly where you stand. If you stop talking, and they stop talking, and there is nothing there, then there was never anything there to begin with. You were just maintaining the illusion of a relationship by doing all the talking for both of you. You are terrified that if you stop rowing, the boat will stop moving. Let it stop. Let the silence expand. Let the awkwardness crush you. Because in that crush, you will find the pieces of yourself you gave away. You will realize that you can exist, breathe, and be valid, even if nobody else in the room agrees with you. You don't need a witness to be real. Let's talk about weaponized fog. Let's talk about the specific tactical advantage of the non-answer. You live in a world of binary choices. Yes or no, true or false, good or bad. When someone asks you a question, you feel a moral obligation to provide data. You think accuracy is the goal. You think if you can just give them the correct information, the problem is solved. But in the dark arts of negotiation, and every conversation is a negotiation, information is leverage. And you are leaking leverage like a sieve. Imagine you are in a high-stakes situation. Maybe it's a performance review. Maybe it's a breakup. Maybe it's a family member demanding to know why you didn't come to Thanksgiving. They ask, "Why would you make a decision like that?" This is a trap. It looks like a question, but it's actually a hook. They are fishing for a handle. They want you to give them a concrete reason so they can tear it apart. If you say, "Because the tickets were too expensive," they say, "I would have paid for them." If you say, "Because I had to work," they say, "You always work." See the pattern? You give them a surface area, and they attack it. Now, look at the master of ambiguity. They ask, "Why would you make a decision like that?" You look them in the eye. You don't flinch. You say, "It was the decision that made the most sense at the time." Pause. Analyze that sentence. What does it actually mean? Nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It is a tautology. It is a circle. I decided because I decided. It offers zero surface area. There is no handle. There is no hook. There is nothing for them to grab onto. It is smooth glass. Watch what happens to them. They try to argue with it, but they can't. They can't say, "It didn't make sense," because you just said it made sense to you. You have removed the objective standard and replaced it with a subjective one that only you can see. They are confused. They are frustrated. And in their frustration, they start revealing things. "Well, I just feel like you don't care about us." Boom. There it is. The real issue. You didn't have to defend your schedule or your bank account. You forced them to put their actual emotional cards on the table because you refused to play your own. This is the leverage of ambiguity. In poker, the worst player is the one who shows his cards every time he wins a hand. He wants the validation. He wants everyone to see he had the royal flush. But the pro? The pro mucks his hand. He slides the cards into the discard pile face down. He drags the pot of chips toward him without a word. Does he have the nuts? Was he bluffing? You'll never know. And that not knowing terrifies you. It makes you play worse against him next time. You need to become the player who mucks their hand. When someone demands to know, "What are you thinking?" you don't have to download your brain into theirs. You can say, "I'm still processing everything." You can say, "I'm keeping my options open." You can say, "That's something to consider." These are verbal smoke bombs. They acknowledge the other person's existence, so you aren't being rude, but they give away nothing. Why is this so powerful? Because humans are meaning-making machines. When presented with ambiguity, we project our own fears into the gap. If you are vague with your boss about a job offer you might have, your boss will imagine the offer is better than it is. They will imagine you are being headhunted by their biggest competitor. They will negotiate against the fantasy in their head, which is far more powerful than the reality on your resume. If you are vague with a manipulator about your boundaries, they tread carefully. They don't know where the electric fence is, so they stop running full speed into your yard. You have spent your life trying to be transparent. You think transparency builds trust. And in a healthy, secure relationship between equals, it does. But you are not always in a healthy, secure relationship between equals. You are in a jungle. And in the jungle, camouflage is survival. Stop painting a target on your chest. Stop giving people the manual on how to dismantle you. Be the fog. Be the mist. Be the thing they can't quite pin down. When you explain, you are solid, and solids can be broken. When you are ambiguous, you are fluid, and you cannot break water. You can only sink into it. You wear the label nice like a badge of honor. You think it's your best quality. You pride yourself on being the easygoing one, the flexible one, the one who never makes a fuss. You think your niceness is a currency that buys you love, safety, and respect. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Your niceness is not a virtue. It is a vulnerability. And to the sharks circling the water, it smells exactly like prey. When you are nice, you are predictable. You operate on a covert contract that says, if I am compliant, you will not hurt me. If I am accommodating, you will be grateful. But the world doesn't work that way. The world is filled with people who view your accommodation not as a gift, but as a baseline. They don't think, "Wow, they sacrificed their weekend to help me move. How noble." They think, "I needed help moving, and they said yes." Problem solved. They absorb your sacrifice, and they keep moving. And the root of this nice person disease? It is the compulsive need to explain your boundaries until they dissolve. Let's look at the mechanics of how you destroy your own no. A friend asks to borrow money. You don't want to give it to them. You know they won't pay it back. The high-value response, "I can't do that." Silence. The nice person response. I really wish I could, but things are so tight right now with the car repairs, and I just paid off the credit card, so I really can't spare it. Do you see what you just did? You moved the goalposts. You took the decision out of the realm of will, I don't want to, and moved it into the realm of circumstance. I can't because of X. You just told them, I would give you the money, but this external obstacle is stopping me. Now the manipulator has a target. They don't have to convince you. They just have to remove the obstacle. Oh, don't worry. I only need it for 2 days. You won't even miss it before the car repair bill comes due. Come on. I know you have that savings account for your vacation. Just dip into that, and I'll replace it next week. They are problem-solving your excuse. And because you are nice, because you are committed to the logic of your explanation, you are trapped. You can't say no now without revealing that your excuse was a lie. So you cave. You give the money. You resent them. You resent yourself. And you tell yourself, I'm just too nice. No, you are not too nice. You are weak. You were too afraid to be the bad guy for 10 seconds, so you agreed to be the victim for 6 months. Nice is the camouflage of the coward. It is the behavior of someone who is terrified of conflict. You think you are keeping the peace, but you are really just keeping the war inside your own head. True kindness is different. True kindness is clarity. It is kind to tell someone no clearly so they can go find another solution. It is kind to set a boundary so you don't secretly hate them later. But you aren't being kind. You are being nice. You are prioritizing the immediate comfort of the interaction over the long-term truth of the relationship. And the predators? They rely on this. They know that if they push you, you will explain. If you explain, you will negotiate. If you negotiate, you will compromise. And if you compromise, they win. They know that you are addicted to the image of yourself as a good person. They know you would rather set yourself on fire than look selfish. So they hand you the match. If you really cared about the team, you'd stay late. If you loved me, you wouldn't let me deal with this alone. I thought you were different. These phrases are laser-guided missiles aimed at your nice guy/nice girl identity. And the only defense is to drop the shield. Stop trying to be good. Start trying to be real. Real people have limits. Real people have edges. Real people say, I'm not doing that. And they don't offer a doctor's note to prove why. When you explain your boundary, you are essentially saying, here is my boundary, and here is the argument you need to defeat to cross it. You are inviting them to the debate. Stop inviting them. The next time you feel the urge to be nice, to soften the blow, to add the because, to pad the rejection with apologies, stop. Feel the burn of the mean feeling. Sit in the discomfort of being the person who said no. Watch them look disappointed. Watch them look annoyed. And realize that you are still standing. The world didn't end. The sky didn't fall. You preserved your resource. You preserved your dignity. You weren't nice. You were respected. And if you have to choose between being liked for your compliance or respected for your boundaries, choose respect every single time. Because nice people get used. Respected people get listened to. The nice person is a role you play to avoid being hurt. But it is the very role that ensures you will be hurt over and over again by anyone who learns that your no is just a yes that needs a little bit of pressure. Kill the nice person. Birthing the real person requires it. Let's look at a concrete example. Let's look at how the status flip actually happens in the wild. Picture an office. The fluorescent lights are humming. It's 4:55 p.m. on a Friday. The boss figure walks up to the intern figure. Boss, hey, I'm going to need you to redo the slide deck. The client changed the specs. Scenario A. The explainer, low status. Intern. Oh, I actually have dinner plans at 6 o'clock, and my mom is in town, and we haven't seen each other in months, so I was really hoping to leave on time. Is there any way it can wait until Monday? I can come in super early Monday, like 6 a.m. Watch the energy. The intern is vibrating. They are asking for permission to live their life. They are bargaining. The boss sees the fear. The boss smells the weakness. Boss, it really needs to go out tonight. Just get it done. Thanks. The boss walks away. The intern cancels dinner. The intern resents the job. The intern feels small. Scenario B. The non-explainer, high status. Boss. Hey, I'm gonna need you to redo the slide deck. The client changed the specs. The intern pauses. They turn their chair. They make direct eye contact. They don't smile. Intern, I can't do it tonight. I'll handle it first thing Monday. Silence. The boss blinks. The script has been broken. The boss expects the excuse. The boss expects the "my mom is in town" story. But there is nothing. Just the statement. The vacuum opens up. Boss. Well, it's pretty urgent. Intern, I understand. I'll make it the priority Monday morning. Have a good weekend. The intern turns back to their screen. Or they start packing their bag. They have signaled. The negotiation is over. Now, watch what happens in the boss's brain. Why can't they do it? Do they have a job interview? Are they quitting? Do they know something I don't? The boss is forced to calculate. Is it worth the fight? Is it worth the conflict? Usually, the answer is no. Boss, all right. Make sure it's done by 9 a.m. Monday. What just happened? The intern flipped the status hierarchy. For 10 seconds, the intern was the CEO of their own life. They didn't ask for the weekend, they took the weekend. And the boss respected it. Why? Because the intern didn't offer a surface area to attack. If the intern had said, "My mom is in town," the boss could have said, "Your mom can wait." But the intern said nothing. You cannot argue with nothing. This applies everywhere. The dating scene. Why didn't you text me back? Explainer. I was in the shower, and then my phone died, and I couldn't find the charger. Desperate. Hiding. High status. I was busy. Calm. True. Or even better. I'm texting you now. Playful. Unbothered. The family gathering. Aunt. When are you going to get a real job? Explainer. Well, the economy is really tough for creatives right now, and I'm building my portfolio. Defensive. High status. I'm happy with where I'm at. Closed door. Or the nuclear option. Silence. Just a smile and a bite of potato salad. Every time you withhold the explanation, you gain a token of power. You collect them, and over time, these tokens add up to a reputation. A reputation for being someone who cannot be bullied. Someone who cannot be guilt-tripped. Someone who moves at their own pace. People start treating you differently. They stop asking you for unreasonable favors. They stop interrupting you. They start listening when you speak because they know you don't waste words on fluff. You think you need a title to have power. You think you need manager or director or head of family next to your name. Wrong. Power is not a title. Power is behavior. You can be the lowest paid person in the room and hold the most power if you are the one who controls the flow of information. The person who talks the most is usually the one with the least influence. They are the jester dancing for the court. The king sits on the throne and nods. Or doesn't nod. You have spent your whole life auditioning for the role of the jester. You thought if you danced hard enough, if you explained well enough, they would make you king. They won't. You have to take the crown off your own head and put it on the table. You have to stop dancing. You have to look at them and say, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it." And you have to be willing to let them leave. That is the price of the flip. You have to be willing to walk away from the deal. You have to be willing to lose the approval of the person asking the question. But the irony is, the moment you are willing to lose them is the moment they start fighting to keep you. Because people want what they can't control. And the moment you stop explaining, you become uncontrollable. We have spent a lot of time talking about them. The manipulators, the bullies, the bosses, the people who demand your answers. It feels good to talk about them, doesn't it? It feels good to paint yourself as the innocent victim of their interrogation. But we are done with that now. Pull up a chair. Sit down. Look in the mirror. Because the person destroying your life isn't the narcissist. It isn't the high-pressure salesman. It isn't your overbearing parent. It's you. You are the one who opens your mouth. You are the one who cannot tolerate the silence. You are the one who sells your dignity for a pat on the head. Nobody is forcing the words out of your throat. There is no gun to your head. You are doing this voluntarily. You are doing this compulsively. And here is the hardest pill to swallow. You aren't just doing it out of fear. You are doing it out of arrogance. Yes, arrogance. When you over-explain, you are trying to control the other person's mind. You are trying to engineer their perception of you. You think, if I just give them the right combination of words, I can make them see me as good. I can make them not be angry. You are trying to micromanage their internal state. You are refusing to let them have their own reaction. You are refusing to let them be disappointed. You think you have the right to curate their thoughts. That is manipulation. You are manipulating them with your explanations just as much as they are manipulating you with their silence. But your manipulation is pathetic. It is the manipulation of the beggar. You are begging to be seen. You are begging to be understood. And in the process, you are abandoning the one person whose opinion actually matters, you. Think about the betrayal happening here. There is a part of you, a quiet, core part, that knows the truth, that knows you don't want to go to that party, that knows you deserve the raise, that knows you didn't do anything wrong. And then, the moment someone challenges you, you throw that part of yourself under the bus. You start backpedaling. You start making excuses. You start lying. You look at your own truth and you say, "You stay here. I'm going to go out there and dance for them." How do you think that makes you feel about yourself? Deep down, it creates self-loathing. Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't deserve it, you chip away at your own self-respect. You tell your subconscious, "I am not enough. My word is not enough. I need a cosigner." And eventually, you stop trusting yourself completely. You become a hollow shell that echoes whatever the person in front of you wants to hear. You blame them for not respecting you. Why should they? You don't respect you. You don't respect your own no. You don't respect your own time. You don't respect your own privacy. You lay your soul bare for anyone who looks at you sideways. You are a house with no doors, complaining that people keep walking in with muddy shoes. Put a door on the damn house. You are waiting for permission to stop explaining. You are waiting for the world to suddenly become gentle and understanding. You are waiting for someone to say, "Hey, you don't have to justify yourself to me. I trust you." That day is never coming. The world will take as much as you give. If you give explanations, they will take them. If you give excuses, they will use them. You have to decide, right now, what is more important to you? Being understood by people who don't care about you, or being respected by yourself? You can't have both. If you choose self-respect, you will be misunderstood. People will think you are cold. They will think you are arrogant. They will think you are difficult. Let them. Let them think you are the villain. Because the alternative is being the victim. The cage you are in is not locked. The door is wide open. The only thing keeping you inside is your frantic need to explain to the jailer why you are leaving. You don't need to tell the jailer anything. You just need to walk out. This is the complicity. You are the co-author of your own oppression. You hand them the whip, turn your back, and then cry when they strike you. Stop handing them the whip. Stop seeking validation from the people who benefit from your insecurity. It is a violent act to stop explaining. It feels violent against your own programming. It feels like you are killing the nice person inside you. Good. Let that person die. They were never real anyway. They were just a defense mechanism you built when you were 5 years old to keep the adults from yelling. You aren't 5 anymore. You don't need the defense. You need the silence. So here we are. The final act. The sermon is over. The theory is done. Now you are standing at the edge of the cliff, and you have to jump. You are going to close this video. You are going to put your phone down. And within the hour, it is going to happen. Someone is going to ask you a question. Your partner will ask why you didn't do the dishes. Your boss will ask about the email. Your friend will ask if you want to hang out. And the machine in your chest will start to whir. The gears will grind. The adrenaline will spike. The reflex to J.A.D.E, justify, argue, defend, explain, will rise up in your throat like bile. You will feel the physical compulsion to vomit words to make the anxiety go away. And in that split second, you have a binary choice. Option A. You do what you have always done. You open your mouth. You let the torrent of excuses pour out. You soothe their discomfort at the expense of your dignity. You apologize for existing. You survive the interaction, but you die a little inside. You go to bed tonight with that familiar, hollow ache in your gut that says, I did it again. I let them walk on me again. Option B. You take the vow of silence. You feel the urge to speak, and you crush it. You physically bite your tongue. You look them in the eye. You deliver the necessary information, the yes, the no, the I can't, and then you slam the door. You engage the brakes. You let the silence hang in the air like a guillotine blade that refuses to drop. It will feel terrible. I need to warn you about this. The first time you do it, it will feel like you are jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. Your brain will scream. They hate you. They think you're rude. Fix it. Say something. Do not listen. Let the scream burn itself out. Hold the line. Count to 3 in your head. 1, 2, 3. And then, watch the miracle. Watch their eyes. They will widen. They will blink. They will look for the handle, and they won't find one. They will realize, perhaps for the first time in your entire relationship, that you are not a vending machine where they press a button and get an explanation. You are a vault. You are closed. And in that moment, the dynamic shifts. Gravity shifts. You are no longer orbiting them. They are orbiting you. This is the addictive part. The rush of power you get from not speaking is better than any drug. It is the rush of self-possession. It is the feeling of walking out of a room knowing you didn't leave any pieces of yourself behind. You will walk away from that conversation and you won't have to replay it in the shower. You won't have the courtroom in your head. Why? Because there is no evidence to review. You didn't say anything. You are free, but you have to commit to it. This isn't a technique you try once. It is a new operating system. You have to decide that your reality is valid without a cosigner. You have to decide that your reasons are good enough simply because they are yours. The era of the nice person is over. The era of the explainer is dead. You are entering the era of the mystery. People will say you've changed. Good. People will say you're harder to read. Good. People will say they miss the old you, the one they could manipulate, the the one they could guilt trip, the one they could control. Let them miss you. You are building a fortress. Every time you withhold an explanation, you lay another brick. Every time you choose silence over noise, you dig the moat a little deeper. And inside that fortress, for the first time in your life, you will find peace. Real peace. Not the fake peace of appeasement, but the quiet, unshakable peace of a sovereign nation that does not answer to foreign invaders. The world is noisy. Everyone is screaming to be heard. Everyone is broadcasting their insecurities, their excuses, their desperate need for validation. Don't join the choir. Be the silence underneath the noise. Be the void that makes them wonder. Be the one who knows something they don't. What do you know? You know that you don't have to explain yourself. Not to them. Not to anyone. You are the author of the book. You don't write footnotes for the characters. You just write the story. So, the next time the pressure comes, the next time the question hangs in the air and the spotlight hits your face, do not dance. Do not apologize. Do not explain. Look them in the eye. Smile if you want to. And say nothing. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. Welcome to your power.